I don't know if you can, if that's too deep, that's fine. But I wanted to kind of get a bit more understanding of that particular situation in terms of when you were mentioning, because I was like, hold on a minute, did she just say that the man was trying to do everything he could, and she was like, it's not enough? Like, what? I was like, so I guess I want to get your viewpoint. What did you mean by that? Yeah.
I would love to go into more depth about that, actually. So it was actually with my last relationship, my ex-fiance. We were engaged, and he was going through a few things himself. So he really wasn't able to give his all to me. So I feel like I was picking up a lot of the slack for where he couldn't give. But one thing about myself is that I am a perfectionist. I am.
Okay.
And that's just how I've always been that way. So when you have a perfectionist mindset, a lot of the times you feel like stuff isn't good enough because it's not perfect. And one thing that I learned after my relationship is that everything is not going to be perfect. And that's all around relationship life in general. And when you don't appreciate what you have, you're always going to be searching for something better. So in that moment in the relationship, I just felt like I could have been a little bit more understanding of what he was giving.
Yeah.
And maybe not every time he did something, it was like, oh, well, that was good or whatever, which it could have been like this, or that was good, but you could have done it like this. Now, granted, he did his stuff too. He did his dirty. He did what he did. But as far as me looking at myself and what I could have done better in that relationship, that is one for sure I feel like I could have done. I don't feel like me doing that solely sabotaged the relationship. I feel like his cheating did, amongst other things. And my ex-fiance is not the one that abused me. It's two completely different relationships.
Okay, cool.
I want to put that out there. So he wasn't the one who abused me, but I just feel like there were other things that he did. Yeah, that obviously I feel like was the tumbling point of our relationship. But as far as me, what I could have done, I could have been a little bit more understanding in that and not necessarily harping on what he could have done better and more accepting what he was trying to do. Because in a sense, like I said, going through a few things, so he was giving me all that he could have been giving me. And but sometimes I feel like people I saw a video once, I think it was Oprah and Steve Harvey. And one thing one of them said was that some people love in gallon sizes and some people love in pint sizes. I may be saying it wrong, but this is basically the gist of it. And they were saying, so if you find someone who loves you with a pint size, once that pint is full, they have nothing left to give, but they gave you your all. So you have to find someone who can love you equally. So if you give a gallon of love, you have to find someone who also can give that gallon, because otherwise you'll feel like they will never give enough. So that really resonated with me, because I'm like, man, like I get it. Like you have to find someone who's on your same level in that sense. And I don't feel like him and I were at the time. It just didn't work. I feel like I was given a gallon, but he could only give so much at the time, and it wasn't enough for me. So yeah, like I said, I don't feel like I solely sabotaged it, but I definitely had a hand in it, and but I learned a lot from that. And so that's why with the whole Brian situation, I was like, okay, is it me? Am I not really seeing what he's saying? Is he really maybe giving me everything that he has, or is there certain things that he could work on and give more? But like I said, as I realized, I was like, once it all boiled down to it, I was like, we're just not on the same wavelengths. So yeah.
Okay. Oh man, that's deep, and it makes more sense why, as when you answered the question, you said yes or no, because I was trying to figure out why you didn't just say yes or didn't just say no, but you said yes or no, so you was accounting for the fact there were other things involved. Okay, makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's
how does your how does your perfection?
Perfection. I know.
You know what I mean, girl. How does that affect? How does that show up in relationships, though? So, like, when you're in relationships, how does that show up in relationships?
So in past relationships, because I haven't been in one since I realized that my perfectionism was an issue. But for me, what it was is that, so if maybe he worked on something, I would always, because when you're a perfectionist, you find the flaws in everything. So because it's not perfect. So even though he would work on something and he probably did an amazing job at working on it, I still found the flaw in it. I still found the negative in it. And sometimes when you're a perfectionist, you focus on what isn't instead of what is. So I had to learn that sometimes I just got to focus on what is. If this is what he gave me, compliment him on that, and then just let it go. Like, I appreciate you for trying. I'm not about to sit here and nitpick at everything that you didn't do. I'm going to appreciate what it is that you did do. So again, but that's something I learned after the fact. Like I said, I've worked and I've grown so much over the past 4 years that that's something that I realized, like, just don't always focus on what isn't there. Sometimes it's okay to just focus on what is there, what is in front of you, and appreciate that. Because if a person doesn't feel appreciated in a relationship, they'll feel like, well, what's the point in trying? Which I 100% agree. Like, what is the point of trying? If I'm not appreciated in everything I do, you have an issue, or you find the flaws in everything, why would I try? It's no point. So I had to realize that as an individual and focus on what is. So, yeah.
I guess my final kind of questions, because you spoke about the abuse that you had gone through, what was the healing process for you, or what's the healing journey that you've undertaken to bring Alex back to, like you said, that place of being that best you?
So it's crazy. So my ex passing and my mom's accident happened like almost at the same time. Sorry, Pat. So sorry, I didn't say that part. So he ended up passing away. The abuse, yeah. So he ended up passing away. So him passing and my mom's accident literally happened like within months of each other. So in that moment, it was hard for me because it was like, man, like I didn't know which pain to focus on. So I think and then at the time I was putting myself through school. I had to take a semester off of college. My senior year, I had to take a semester off because my parents couldn't afford to pay for the previous semester. So I took a semester off. I was working like 3 jobs. And so I was just doing all that. So my focus was like split. It was everywhere. Like I didn't know where my pain should go. Like what should I focus on healing? So I think in a sense, for a while, I didn't focus on any of it. I just got myself through school, graduated. And then after a while, I started focusing on healing. And with healing comes accepting. So I had to accept where my mom was. And then I also had to accept that relationship because it was like I almost had like a double feeling towards it. It was like, man, like I went through this with him, but he's also gone. So it's like, how do I really, how do I really, what is it that I should focus on as far as like myself and healing? So it was a tough time, but I really, like I said, I got close to God and I honed in on that and just took a lot of me time. Like I was single for a really long time after that. And I just focused on me and just focused on the word and just understanding what it was that I went through, as well as understanding how to get over it. So if you immerse yourself into the word, you can get through anything. And a lot of people, I've read comments that said, oh, she should have gotten therapy, whatever. And I feel like therapy is a good thing. I do not knock people, who go through therapy, and I would completely be open to it. But in the same token, I feel like if you do the work and you, like I said, immerse yourself into the word and lean on God, he will get you through anything. So at the time, also, mind you, this was a long time ago. So at the time when he did pass away, I was younger, I was young. Now these days with social media, everybody harps on like, therapy and Black people should do therapy, et cetera, et cetera. But back then that wasn't a thing, Yeah. So I'm good now where I'm at. I'm 100% good. And I just feel like I say, I'm not against therapy, but I just feel like I have done the work to get to where I am. And like I said, I'm the best version of myself. I am the happiest I've ever been. And I feel like when you know yourself and you know like what it is you want in this life and who you are and what you can accomplish, like to me, that is the biggest contentment. Like you're content with yourself. And that's just where I'm at right now. So yeah.